Okay, babe. Tell me what you think about House of Leaves.
All right, I got the book open. So for those who are interested, and for those who care, I have the $50 ultra special mega edition that has all the different typesetting, full color, all the crazy bits and bobs are there. So
So why don't you like? Why was that not enough for you?
so to preface this, okay, to preface the preface, I read maybe, in totality 90% of the book because I hated reading the Johnny Truant stuff because I simply didn't care enough.
Babe, that's the most important part
Oh,
of the book.
because it's what's the term? Because Johnny Truant's swearing and talking about sex, like raunchous sex with women and having sex with 600 women and keeping track of them
R
is
slash I have sex.
r slash
Kind,
I have
kind
sex.
of, yeah.
It's so cool because it so deeply contrasts the academic writing of Zambano,
Except it's not academic.
except it's
Because
not.
like it's I know what academic writing looks
Yeah.
like, and like academic writing is sometimes inflated to take up more space than it actually needs to, but that typically happens on a macro level where you have an argument that is unnecessarily complexly laid out.
Yeah.
But it doesn't come across with this like purple prose poetic language that he uses in the academic writing, where it's like purple prose for the sake of just sounding academic.
Yeah.
And so, like, it reads as, like, really annoying and fake, and, like, he doesn't know enough about academic writing to do the gimmick he's trying to do. Fran is jumping in to say that.
No, I agree.
The story also isn't good enough to justify the gimmick of the book.
But yeah, we'll get to that because
Well, I'm putting it out there
putting
right
that
now.
out.
Like,
Yeah.
there's no like when I ask, because when I was reading House of Leaves, and I'm gonna let you finish.
Yeah.
But when I was reading House of Leaves, I got to a point where I did not feel like the length and girth and height of the book
And width.
and width of the book just and like all the gimmicks and the complexity just were justified because the story itself wasn't very complex.
Yeah.
And there were so many elements that could have just been cut, and so many of the characters were just fucking flat. Like, it's just like, oh, here's rape for shock value. Here's the bitch wife character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all the female characters just sucked ass so bad. And to be honest, the male characters sucked ass too.
Yeah.
Like, the only guy I thought was, like, maybe a little bit interesting was, like, that hunter guy. And
Holloway.
he was barely, like, a major character at all.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, if you don't even have an interesting enough story to justify doing all of this Microsoft Word, like, freeform formatting, why are you doing it at all?
It's
It's just an experiment to be like, oh, I'm pushing the boundaries of what a novel can be. And it's like, okay, does the complexity of the story that you're trying to tell justify this project?
I think what it is for me is when this was released in 2000, I think that this was groundbreaking. I would imagine this being like a groundbreaking thing.
A woman who tried to propose this to her publisher would have gotten laughed at.
Yeah.
She would have gotten... That's the other thing. I got to halfway through this book and I was like, hold up. If I brought this to a publisher, if I sent this to an agent and was like, this is what I'm trying to do, like, I think I would have gotten a form response universally.
So the preface to the preface is over. So the preface
Yeah.
is saying I went into so I'm a person who likes the idea of a haunted house, and not in like ooh spooky, but like a house that itself is like fucked up and like, oh, this
Yeah.
house hates you.
Yeah,
Like,
you love that trope.
I
or
love
that
that
like, idea.
I love the idea that your living space or a place where you find comfort is being antagonistic towards you or has a sentience or something. That For some reason, I really like that. So when I learned about this book, I was like, okay, I'm going to love this. I'm going to go into this. It's going to be so interesting and cool. Like, I know bits and pieces. I know that there's a hallway that goes on forever. I know there's pretty much just like a completely non-Euclidean, like insane maze with a Minotaur in it. Like, I thought this was going to be my shit. So I went into this, pretty positive. I'm not going to say that I was over expecting, because I've learned to not do that after being burnt several times with books, but it's just what I want is maybe I'm stupid. I'm putting
You're
that out. Okay. Well, I think the issue here is it's just like I want a book about a fucking freaky house that alters its reality to adjust to the occupants that are inside of it. It can be a house that destroys people emotionally and physically. Like, that's cool. But I want to read about that. I don't want to read about some guy who has sex and says the fuck word and has mommy problems and daddy issues. And it's just, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. To me, it doesn't add, it's not engaging enough. In fact, I feel like it just gets in the way. I like the idea of you have someone who's reading the book whose mental state is degrading. Like, I kind of like that, but the thing about it is my mental state was degrading while reading this book, but not...
You were getting mad. You would be in a bad mood after every time you read this book.
We were on a flight, and I read, I want to say, a fifth of this book across two flights, maybe 5 hours.
Yeah.
And I was so upset. It's also awkward, I'm asterisk aside, it's very awkward to read in like a public setting, because it's just like, I have to flip forward 4 pages, I have to go to the references in the back,
it makes you look like a damn fool.
It makes me look like a fucking idiot. I got asked multiple times, oh, what are you reading? It looks like you're doing a lot of referencing. Oh, it's this novel. Oh.
Yeah, they think you're like a big shot scientist or some shit.
And then they actually see that like...
And then it's just a gimmick. It's just a fucking gimmick.
They're looking at page 74 and 75, and 90% of the page is just blank with one sentence at the top.
I know.
Or page 198
was it necessary? Why was it needed? Write me a 10-page essay on why this was needed. Like, because the concept of the house is fucking cool. And it would have actually been cooler if they'd just written a normal novel like the rest of us plebeians do.
Yeah.
Like, there's no fucking reason that you need to be like, oh, I'm gonna do this in the hardest to read. Well, here's the other problem is, like, it's not generous with the reader.
It's not.
In how it's composed. And that bothers me like nothing else when it comes to novels.
Yeah.
Because part of the reason why I think Donna Tartt is one of the greatest writers of our time is that her novels they're smart, but they are also like so generous with the reader, and you can tell that she is extremely intelligent, but she is intentionally making things easier for people to read. And so there's a lot of depth available to you, but you're also not like struggling to get through each sentence because the writing has been so stripped down so that it's like maximum efficiency like you see in a lot of literary fiction. And it's also not like bloated with purple prose. It's rich and dense, but it's also easily consumable. And so you can like truly lose yourself in the flow of the story and the characters. Mm-hmm. And also, side note, I fucking hate that he name dropped Donna Tartt.
Oh yeah, he put her as a false reference in one of these. Oh
my god! Just like the pages of quotes from other better writers that didn't need gimmicks to make their name.
Interview with
with Donna Tartt, and you're putting fucking words in her mouth.
Yeah.
Like presuming you know, like she's like a still living person. You're presuming what she's gonna say.
Yeah, it's really like,
I don't know, this fucking loser. I hate it so much. You know what this is, babe? You know what I think about this? I think this is literally like the postmodern degradation of art. This is literally like when you go to the art museum and you go to like the current artists part of the gallery, and it's all just like, oh yeah, I'm trying to challenge what we think of as art, and it'll be like a fucking, like a toilet with shit in it. And they're like, oh, I'm trying to really like challenge, you know, man, like the true meaning of art. And it's like, okay, can you make a marble sculpture? Can you sculpt marble to look like fabric? Can you create a perfect oil painting of like a scene from the fucking Bible? Like, it's just, there is so much effort needed to create a piece of art, whether it be like a sculpture or a novel. And this feels like smoke and mirrors to disguise from the fact that what you have here is a good but not spectacular concept, and flat fucking characters, and a plot that drags on too long, and that the reader just can't like properly feel the suspense in, because it's so complicated to try to derive any meaning from it. Like, why are you making it hard for the reader to follow your plot or derive meaning from your story? Man, I'm getting mad.
I agree.
And I agree about it being cumbersome.
It's
Like the actual body of the book.
It's just a frustrating book, because I wish this was more structured, because I have a lot to say about this, and I don't want to bore your audience. So I made a note here where Zampano is writing about Karen's trauma and how she was traumatized early in life, and how her confronting the house is a way for her to confront her trauma. Like, that's an interesting concept, but it's so poorly executed, because for me, I'd rather read a fucking book that has Karen explore her trauma.
That would require trying to imagine how a woman thinks.
Oh, sorry. Guess I gotta make the character a man then, so I can understand.
I know,
like literally, it's just like the most interesting part of the book is how the difference between her relationship to the house and how she approaches it, and how she's avoidant of it, and how Navidson approaches the house, and how he's obsessed with it, because it's a book about obsession and ego and purpose and identity as a professional and whatever bullshit. What would have been interesting is if you had an exploration, is if you use the house as a foil to explore Karen's trauma, and use it as a way to make her, quite frankly, the hero in the book, because she pulls everyone out of the house.
Yeah, why did that? I don't know. That felt like it was played down a little bit.
It really was.
Fucking book.
Like Karen should have.
It's like she defeated the fucking house.
Yeah, she really did save her husband and get her children away from this house that literally killed her brother-in-law, and almost killed her husband, and killed two other people. Like she is, I think, I'm going to argue, I think she has the most potential to be the most interesting character, but she's not. Instead, she's wife.
Yeah, she's
traumatized
wife.
Traumatized wife who cheats on husband.
I know. Oh my god. Yeah, because all women are like that. All women are just lying in wait to cheat on their husbands, and something simp. Something
yeah.
cuck, something
dark side.
Dark side.
So this leads into my next comment. So first of all, Karen isn't explored well enough as a character. She should have been the most interesting character in the book. I have a whole lot to say about Karen, mostly about the fact that she's not fully realized at all. But the thing about it is, there's a lot of weird portions of this book, multiple times, where Sampano explores, Karen's, mental state, her trauma, like quoting her therapist and everything. And it's like, but the thing about it, it's very like, it's not even, it's clinical, it's academic, the author is very ungenerous with the reader about communicating these ideas and this character to the readers.
Yeah.
And so you wind up with a really like distant sort of.
She's dehumanized.
Yeah. And quite frankly, I feel like that's the issue with all the characters, is that they are dehumanized because they are
because of the structure of the fucking book.
Structure of the book. So I can't relate to Navidson because I'm an ambitious guy. I like doing things and working hard and doing like I like doing stuff.
Yeah, you're like Patrick Bateman. That's me.
Yeah, I'm Patrick Bateman. I'm
me too. I feel the same way.
Spending an hour every day getting my face to look like pure marble. But yeah, if you do the Patrick Bateman daily routine, you're just gonna look like Christian Bale at the end of the day. So don't do it too much,
you look
please.
in the mirror and you're slowly transforming. Oh God!
Into young Christian Bale.
My face starts masculinizing.
Please.
Anyway. No, yeah, I like, because normally in a novel, like no matter how fucked up the character is, you are kind of slipping into like the way that a character thinks. I don't know, like you have some novels where there is still more of a distance, like that created between the third person narrator and the character, and like sometimes you don't see into their heads, but you are like following them on the ground, so to speak.
Right.
Instead, like in here there is a third hurdle between the reader and the character.
And like it's hurdles.
It's an academic document, or it's a therapist, or like, and it's like, how is this helping the narrative though? And then there's all the fucking colored text where it's just like,
I honestly don't mind that.
it's annoying.
I think the most annoying things are the pages with like that are blank apart from the page number and 3 letters.
It's just a
like,
waste of fucking paper. Your story isn't good enough to justify wasting trees and paper like this.
But babe, the thing about it is people who like the book are just going to be like, but that's the point of the book. That's the point. That's like, the magic and the beauty of the book is that it's open
not
to
magical. It's contrived. It's contrived. It's self-important. It's the worst thing I've ever read in my life. It's so fucking just like, come on. What if I just took a shit in the middle of the art gallery and that's my entry for the, and it's special because no one ever thought of that? Or what if I just submit a frame without a painting in it to the art gallery, and that's my submission, and you have to, like, do mental gymnastics trying to derive meaning from it, even though I put forth no effort at all, and I'm surrounded by fucking Michelangelo's David. Like,
babe, most of modern art is just there to do tax fraud, so...
Yeah.
It's
contrived. It's like, this is groundbreaking because no one ever thought to experiment with Microsoft Word before me. Mm-hmm. And I had an agent who was enough of a sucker that he just jacked himself off to the brilliance of my fucking idea.
And they sold it.
And they sold it for $50.
$50. I'm so glad I got this as a gift and I didn't buy this for myself.
I got it as a gift too, actually.
Oh, nice.
I never spent a dime on this.
Yeah, I think Mark Danielowski knew what he was doing by fucking playing people. Like, all right, I have a story about a haunted house. All right, so how are you gonna differ yourself from the Haunting of Hill House? Oh, I'm gonna make it completely fucked up, and I'm gonna add swear words, and I'm gonna add, and then he just vomits, and then this book's out, and it makes one quadrillion, bless you.
Thank you.
It makes $1 quadrillion because it's Art Nouveau.
I know,
And
it's wow, I never saw a book that looked like this.
People who say that this is their favorite book are getting played.
They have no attention span. This is like your favorite book if you've never read a book before.
Bruh, like...
And you need help keeping your attention. So there has to be a little task on every page for you
and I hate that. It makes
annoying.
The book so inaccessible. But you just don't get it. Because that's the beauty of it.
I'm just a plebe. I'm a commoner. I'm too closed-minded.
Because all the footnotes...
I'm behind the times,
because
babe.
all the footnotes represent the monotony and the cruelty of having to go through and traverse the house. And explore and go through, and that's also represents the monotony and thoroughness that you need to go through in order to achieve your goals in life. Or some bullshit.
Imagine if Tessa the D'Urbervilles, instead of being 500 pages, was 800 pages and had footnotes that were not academic footnotes, but were put there by the author on every page, and the monotony of checking the footnotes to get vital plot details was meant to distance the reader in a way that Tess feels distanced from society around her, and the drudgery of checking the footnotes represents the drudgery of the work that she has to do. And it's like, okay, what if I told you that I don't need you to force me into the mindset of sympathizing with the character,
right,
or understanding the atmosphere of the book? Like, why are you iron fisting to get your reader to place themselves in your plot? Is it because the plot isn't very good?
Oh,
is it because is it because your characters aren't compelling? Peut-être, je pense. Yeah, what are we getting off of these pages?
Page 294.
It's just a letter A in a weird font, and it's diagonal.
Yeah, page 294.
And there's nothing else on the fucking page.
The full color edition is... There are 3 pages that are required, that are set up to show that a rope has snapped, that Navidson is climbing, and he falls, or whatever. Or some bullshit.
Why don't you just write a normal story where it describes him falling?
Yeah.
Well, like, babe, can you imagine if, like, I don't know, let's take a story, like a scene from my novel where you know which character gets shot in front of another character, and, like, main character is covered in blood, and he's holding the body of this other character. Like, can you imagine if I did that, where the character gets shot, and then it's like 3 blank pages with me just key smashing to make the reader understand how shocking it is that he's been shot, because I wasn't strong enough of a writer to do that with simple prose. This is like an extremely exaggerated version of that thing that weak writers sometimes do, where they always have to press enter after every single sentence to create emphasis, because they can't just create emphasis with, like, the structure of a sentence and their word choice.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, I know. It's true. Fuck this book.
Yeah.
You got anything else, honey?
Oh, I got so much, but I'll try to keep it short. Like, I think this book...
The dot page.
Okay, there's page 310
and
of
the
full
Minotaur in red text. Oh, that's how you know it's bad.
This is the most frustrating thing, is, like... I was never scared in this book. Nothing. Yeah. I was never drawn into this book enough.
I was trying to make myself scared.
I
couldn't do it. I was like,
trying to get
veins
into it.
Popping out of my forehead.
By the time that I got to the point where Navidson is, like, crawling through and is, like, dying inside of the maze, and he's just, like, his everything is collapsing around him, and all that shit. Like, I was trying to be like, oh no.
Everyone who is like, oh, you just don't appreciate that, that's a motherfucker who took BBC Sherlock too seriously. They never grew out of their Sherlock phase.
Yeah.
It's all in all, the gimmick destroys the novel. And this is supposed to be a novel, and it's not accomplishing its goal as a novel, because the medium of a novel was not good enough for it.
If-
You thought that no one has ever thought of doing this before. Like, anyone can fuck up the formatting a little bit. It's just most writers care more about the quality of the writing. I'm mad.
I'm mad. I feel like there should have been more in this book, and there isn't. And it's. I'm just upset.
You got any
And,
closing thoughts, babe?
read the book if you want to hate yourself. Read the book if you want to get frustrated and look like an absolute insane freak of nature in public. And yeah, and good luck and have fun.
This is a Rick and Morty ass book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna read this book, buy a used copy. All right, thank you, Victor, for speaking your truth.
You're welcome, Fran. I hope you have a good day.
I will.
Cool.
I'm eating cheese fries right next to you.
Yay.
Bye.